sit back and relax and watch the program of what we did in our 9th decade.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. We both want to thank our committee who has worked tirelessly to help us get this presentation going last month and as well as this month. In order to prepare for this month's presentation, many members of our committee were able to go to the Law Logistics Warehouse and go through lots of great files and books and boxes and bins and all kinds of things to be able to present to you some highlights from the decade 2001 to 2011. Our committee is made up of Paige and myself, Mindy Abadili, Mike Aquino, Lynn Marino, Paul Hebert, Dr. Adrian Levesque, and Rick Manganello. We're starting off by letting you know, in terms of membership for that decade, you can see from 2001 until 2002, there were 92 members, and it fluctuates a bit throughout the decade until we get down to 2010, 2011, it seems to be going upward a little bit. And I'd like to say that maybe that's because I joined in 2010. I'm just kidding. It went up. But it was good to know, and I'm thrilled to it that I had joined. Our club was very busy in this decade, everyone. You can look at all the various things here, and I don't even think we could fit them all. Of course, the community grants and scholarships, the holiday auctions, and we always like to include things that are very unique just to our club, which is the 100 Holes of Golf charity event that we did, our Christmas tree fundraiser, the fishing derby that's held each spring, things that we've given money to for the Hurricane Katrina Relief Fund, and we've done bowling and things with other Rotaries as well. And as we go along, we're going to talk a little bit about, quite a bit about some of the things that have been done internationally and then locally through various members of our club. But here to talk about community grants is Paige Hultman.
So here's just a total, $278,086 community grants. A lot are the same continued nonprofits we support today as Rotary, Boys and Girls Club, Bridges, ALS, the Adult Learning Center, lots of the same ones. Oh yeah, so 2003, we have some archive photos from the Telegraph. Each year again, we give scholarship awards to Nashua students. The two Nashua Highs back here, it was just Nashua South, I believe. And BG, so here's just some photos of the students receiving these scholarships, and earlier we heard from one from 05. And for the past 6 years, we've awarded $2,500 per year to an adult learner who has strived to better their lives as well as the lives of their families with higher education and training opportunities. And for this decade, giving away $164,400 total.
So here's something that our club did that was in conjunction with, I believe, the Milford Rotary Club back in July of 2004. A lot of money was raised for 100 holes of golf. And we see Brian Canini there. We see Tracy Hatch, previously Hatch, now Hall, as we know. And it looks like perhaps some of her children there. And I'm not familiar with all the other Rotarians that I see in the pictures. Down to the left of me, if I'm not mistaken, in the middle, maybe Peter Collins from Rotary West. I'm not certain. There were many happy years with 100 holes of golf, and it was said that in the clipping we saw that offending fairways and greens. So that was the really cool thing that we did. Another thing that's happened in the spring is a fishing derby for children who have special needs. And Tony Martinez has really been the person since I've been in Rotary that I've known that has really spearheaded this and made this happen for so many lucky children and families. And this is, would be remiss if we didn't have a decade without Christmas. If we had a decade without Christmas trees, we have to show you. So here's Chick Bolio. Whoops. Here's some people on top of the truck. I am not sure who it is on top of the truck. I know Jack Atkinson is in the lower right-hand corner, sporting his Santa Claus beard with Roger Johnson. And I apologize because I don't know who the woman is sitting on the trees, but you probably do. I think she may
That's
have been
Barb Tremlett.
Tyrion. So, oh, Christmas tree, oh, Christmas tree. Now we're going to ask Rick Manganello to talk a little bit about the Pure Water for the World project that our club was heavily involved in.
Well, Pure Water for the World spoke to our club back in about 2001, and since then we've supported them to the tune of over $100,000 on a variety of projects, including providing 2 trucks for use in Haiti. There's one down there that says Janet on the door, and I see pictures of that pop up from time to time. They've done a lot of work in Honduras and Haiti, and I'm very proud of our club for our generosity to that organization.
Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, Ken Grabo, of course, is a past Rotary director, and he was very instrumental in the founding of Pure Water for the World. It was started by the Rotary Club of Brattleboro, who after a few years outgrew what they could do, and Ken generously supported them in creating a not-for-profit that's based in Vermont, and got them going. He also invented a plastic water filter, which you can see on the left, which is much lighter than the concrete that's usually used. The picture on the right shows a fellow loading one of the plastic filters that Ken bought and paid for into a canoe, taking it into a part of Honduras where it's impossible to go by truck. You could never get the concrete filters in there. And so we've deployed thousands of those filters. In the center, you see a picture of Ken as well as a typical family shot. That's what their kitchens look like. In that case, a concrete filter installed.
Ken's Nashua West.
And Ken is in Nashua West.
I was going to ask, I believed he was in one of the clubs. I didn't know if he was a former member of ours. It was such a major undertaking for our club to be involved in this really, really worthwhile global giving event. Do you want to talk a little bit about this slide right here also, Rick?
Yeah, this is a filter factory in the country. This is in Honduras. Those are concrete filters that have been built by local labor there in country, and they get delivered into these households,
Schools.
and schools. But they provide safe water to drink, which these families don't ordinarily have. A lot of them don't name their kids until they're 3 years old because the infant mortality is so high they don't want to get too attached. And most of the death is from diarrhea and waterborne diseases. So these are saving thousands of lives. This was taken in Haiti. I shot those little girls with my cell phone. Janet and I went down there and joined the Pure Water office in Haiti. And the U.S. ambassador to Haiti was our speaker. And we arrived at this school, and in this case, we're listening to her speak in French to the Haitian group. It was a very moving experience. On the left in pink are kindergarten kids in a nearby school. This is all in Cité Soleil, which is the worst slum in the Western Hemisphere.
So Paul Clark went to Jamaica in his year of 2004 to deliver wheelchairs.
Here's a photo of recipients receiving wheelchairs. I believe, does Adrian have a story about?
Quickly, it was a wonderful event. We met, the Jamaicans were very kind and gracious. We gave out the wheelchairs, and one gentleman who was walking by the distribution who needed a wheelchair did not have one. We gave him one on the spot. It was a wonderful event, really very proud to get involved with that.
And I believe there was some coverage in the Telegraph about that. So not only did past President Paul Clark go to this event, but Ernie Marino, thank you again for speaking, our late friend Gloria Fields, Gary Clark Pounder, and Karen Goddard, formerly Karen Keegan, had gone as well. And it looked like some other Rotary clubs participated in that. And there's another photo down on the right with Karen and Gary, and some more information. These PowerPoints will be available as PowerPoints for all of you to look at later. And Rick, we're really going to highlight you here. not only were you a past president in this decade, but you were also a district governor from 2010 to 2011. And that's quite an accomplishment.
Well, it was a real privilege to meet all 60 clubs in the district, and I stay connected to all of them. It's a heck of a great thing to do. I hope some other members of our club go on to do this. We have several that would be very good at it. I was only the second one in the history of our club that served as district governor.
And then here's something that was unique to us that we did that I thought was really great. I believe it was maybe one of the first years I was in. There was a donation by one of our Rotarian members and families to help children from the Boys and Girls Club go shopping for their families at the holidays in ways that they probably would never have had that opportunity. So here we see past presidents. We see Ian Bowker, we see Sai Mahfouz, we see Rotarian Carrie Ann Salvi helping children spend $100 for gifts for their families. And it was always a very good feeling, heartwarming experience, the Rotarians told us, and the children really, really enjoyed it. And then I'm gonna let my good friend, Adrian, Dr. Levesque, talk about and answer why do trees in America not have leaves?
This is really Rick Manganello's project. If you see the little girl there, she was about 4 or 5 years old. And the project was to, she was born with a heart defect. And unless she had an expensive surgery, she would probably not make it to being a teenager. And Rick, I'd like to have you finish the story because it's really, if you look at the picture in the background, you can see Rick and you can see the trees don't have leaves. And they don't have leaves because this is about the beginning of April. And this little girl leaves, the Philippines where everything is very lush. And she comes to New England and there aren't any leaves on the trees. And that's a question. Why do trees in America not have leaves? So Rick, if you can hear me, would you continue the story and let us know what happened to this girl?
Well, little April Grace came and stayed with us for about a month. A number of people from the club helped take her back and forth down to Boston, to Mass General Hospital where the surgery was scheduled. The club contributed $5,000 to make this happen, which is just a kind of an honorarium that covers some of the administrative costs at the hospital. The hospital itself undertakes the whole project. They often do it with a catheterization process, but in this case, the hole in her heart was too large and too close to the wall of the ventricle. So she had to have full open heart surgery, and it worked out very well. We're still in contact with her. That's her mother, Susan, with her there in that picture. Here's some of my grandkids with them. She's now graduated from college. Here's pictures of her fairly recent. The picture on the right is Janet and I having dinner with them up in Calgary, Canada.
She's 23.
She's 23, and since her heart was repaired, she was healthy enough that her family was able to emigrate to Canada. Without that, they would have been stuck in the Philippines where they had lived. The whole family has gone up. All the kids have gone through college. The parents are thinking of retiring and moving back to the Philippines where they can afford to retire. But the club really changed a life with this one. We also did another girl that stayed with Jill and Jody Gage, which is a very similar story.
Okay, so thank you so much, Rick. That was a very moving story about the gift of life, and we promised Adrian we'd enter it with, begin it with that question, why do trees in America not have leaves? So yeah, that was back in April of 2002. Here's a youth exchange from that decade. Conrado from Spain, he was with a host family in Hudson, and apparently his club youth counselor is Barb Tremblett.
Correct.
Conrado in youth exchange, I guess they went up to Killington. I know when we had exchange students here before, they go to a lot of different events and sporting things and, you know, lots of great fun things for them all to get together. So we're going to go right now to the music committee, and you can see who the members are.
Throughout this decade, members of the music committee not only led our community singing, we also entertained with a musical selection relating as much as possible to the topic of the speaker of the day or to the season of the year, including the annual Christmas program. Ernie Jetty was chairperson of the music committee at the start. Years later, I, Lynn Marino, was given the job, mostly because Rolly had entrusted me with copies of all his music to keep on file. So the selection we have for your listening pleasure today should be well known to some of our more senior members. Apparently, Stodala Pumpa, a Czech folk song, was one of those musical offerings that you either loved or hated with no middle ground. Its origins are obscure, but what we do know is that in the old country, it was often performed as a circle dance or a game. As for the title, Stodala means barn and Pumpa means pump, which more or less leaves the interpretation up to one's imagination. There are many versions of the song, all with different lyrics. The one Mindy will play and sing for you today is straight out of Rolly's songbook. The committee dedicates it to Ernie Jetty, a fan, and Jack Tully, not so much.
On the hills I hear a nightingale singing a song that brings home back to me. 3 years ago, at home I left my love. Still she is waiting, waiting there for me. And
Yay.
Maybe at a future meeting.
to the army, you will come with me. Here in the army, you will learn to drill. When you are good, then you can march with me.
One verse is enough.
Maybe at a future meeting, Jack Tully and Ernie Jetty could do a duet.
Yeah.
Next time, please. When we return to the club, we'll let them do it.
The Nashua Rotary Club raises the most out of 53 clubs. We raised $26,000 and ran 144 total miles to help Rotary International's Polio Plus campaign. And this was back in May of 2003. And you can see some photos here. It was in Keene, New Hampshire. It was a walk and a run. And in the picture on the left, I recognize, I think it's G. Frank. And I think I see Gloria taking a picture. And maybe to the left of her is Chris Barrett. And on the right is Rick Manganello. That was another great fundraising event. And here we have the Rotary Common. And the Rotary Common was a huge, huge undertaking of our club in that decade. And we actually have, oh dear, we have a YouTube video of Jack Tully at the Rotary Common explaining how it all came to be and what it means, and then a few words from Yvonne Dunnitz. However, Paige and I are not certain now that we'll be able to share the audio on it at this point, but it will be embedded in the PowerPoint that you receive, so you will get that. Okay, sorry about that, folks. We're trying. Here's some highlights from the Common. There is a gallery at the wall. It displays the local artists' work for the whole community. It's a really beautiful, peaceful place to stop and rest and enjoy the reflection garden. There's so much to see there. These are just some dedication stones with beautiful bronze inlays of what the actual labyrinth looks like and what the meaning of a labyrinth is, and the committee members that worked on it. And of course, a really nice dedication stone with the Rotary Club 4-way test and the service above self motto. And just a little shot in the sun on the left. It's really beautiful. I work next door to it, so I go there often. Nashua Rotary Club past presidents for the decade were Tracy Hatch, Rick Manganello, Paul Clark, Bill Berry, Arintha Silva, Tony Martinez, Kevin Halloran, G. Frank, Dave Pastor, and Karen Goddard. Here's some great photos with Tracy Hatch showing Nashua Rotary Pride with the Nashua Pride, throwing out the first pitch, I believe, and we had to put Butch Hobson in there, just, you know. And then she and Jack were enjoying the mascot, and somebody had a box there at Holman, and there's lots of Rotarians standing up there in that photo in the left-hand corner. I'm sure you can recognize many. Kevin Halloran with a mustache. Paige and I got a kick out of that. Didn't know you with a mustache, Kevin. So there's lots of fun people, fun pictures, and it looks like Tracy had a blast, which is awesome, and showed lots of pride. Here's some highlights from past President Paul Clark's presidency. And we had asked past presidents, as we do each month, to send us some bullets and photos and pics about things that had, you know, highlighted their term, their year. So you can see he did a lot of great things. And they really started in his year putting money aside for the 100th anniversary. Here is your cruise director, your captain, Bill Berry, highlights from his presidency. And apparently there used to be like a really mean softball competition going on. I wasn't aware of that, but it was pretty cool. And there's a great photo down there of softball and all the different kinds of things that happened in Bill's year to raise money. And when as we said earlier, the scholarships were established for $10,000, 2 of them per year. Here's some highlights from past President Tony Martinez. And he, like I say, is someone who has been really spearheading that whole fishing derby and working with everybody on that. There are some photographs down below with Kevin and G. Frank and a few others. If I don't get your names, I apologize, for some work that was done to help Harbor Homes and a donation there. Here he is getting political without a mustache with Mitt Romney, who spoke on the eve of the New Hampshire primary. John McCain was the guest speaker, and that was during Kevin's presidency, 2007 to 2008. Great photos. And just so you know, more political figures visit. And apparently, Vice President Joe Biden visited us in 2008. And wouldn't you know, now he's running for president 12 years later. Maybe you shook his hand. You never know. You might have shaken the hand of the future president. Rotarian of the Year was another effort made by Paul Clark in his year and something he brought to fruition. And these were the awards. The first year in 2004, 3 Rotarians were awarded the coveted Rotarian of the Year award. 2005, 2 Rotarians were awarded. 2006, 1. 2007, 2. 2008, 2009, and 2010, 1 person each. And you can see all more than deserving of that kind of award. It's really good to see. And then here's some photos of those folks. Yeah. Yep, very nice. And then we get into our in memoriam area, and we're not going to have Paul or Mindy speak, and we don't want to go too far over with time. We know we only have a couple minutes, but it's important that we pay tribute and homage to these folks. Continue to smile. I didn't mean to. So this PowerPoint will be available with sound embedded once we get it all set up and over to Bill, and he can send it out to the membership or whoever he chooses to do so. We thank you for joining us. We apologize for the technical difficulties.
Members of the 100th Anniversary Committee, another wonderful program. As you can see, I guess what I take from this is the impact our Rotary Club has, not only locally, nationally, internationally. And as I said many times, what I do through this, what this club does for people is something I can't do individually. And it's very nice being able to do it collectively. Wonderful slides, wonderful picture. We heard from our first recipient of a $10,000 scholarship. Thank you, John Sayers, for the history of the Big Brothers Big Sisters, to Rick Manganello for the Pure Water for the World and Jamaica wheelchairs. We're doing this 100th anniversary program once a month on the last meeting of the month. So if you do have materials, remembrances, or otherwise, please provide it. And with that, I end the program as we always do with a four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it benefit all concerned? Will it be fun?